Hey friends, welcome back. Glad to see you again. If we've never met before, my name is Sharon and I'm happy that you're studying with me today. I have the most excellent cup of coffee, so I think this is going to be a great lesson. So what we're focusing on today is something called parallel structure. And if you are writing in the university or you're getting ready to start university classes, this is going to be a very useful lesson for you because we use parallel structure all the time when we write academic essays. All right, so let's jump right in. All right, so I have a couple sentences and I want you to think like, what's the problem here? The first one is, plagiarism doesn't help you learn. It is dishonest and a problem. Second one, copying words from the internet, submit your friend's paper, and don't use sources are examples of plagiarism and academic dishonesty. You see any problems here? These are not so easy to see. So parallel structure, let's first focus on that word parallel. What does it mean? Well, parallel means something that is similar to something else. So, oh, it's difficult to think of a parallel to my mother. She is so incredibly unique. All right, I cannot find a parallel for her. Or you might think of parallel lines. If you love geometry like I do, parallel lines look like that. Okay? Equal, they never intersect. Okay? Right next to each other, parallel. Walls are parallel to each other. So parallel structure, we use it when we have lists of words or phrases or clauses. And we use parallel structure to increase the sentence coherence and flow. So what do I mean by that? So here are some common uses when we use parallel structure. We can see parallel structure in this thesis statement. So remember, a thesis statement is kind of like the main idea for your whole essay. So this person is writing an essay on climate change. Okay? They say climate change will have devastating consequences for the planet, including more frequent droughts, extreme weather patterns, and loss of endangered species. Do you see a list in this thesis statement? It's right here. So we have item 1, item 2, and item 3. And so we can see what this essay is going to focus on. It's going to have 3 body paragraphs probably. Definitely 3 ideas that they're going to develop. Droughts, weather patterns, and loss of endangered species. Now let me point something out to you here. Do you notice anything else that's similar about these 3 things? Might be hard to see, but these are all noun phrases. And that's what I mean by parallel structure. When you have a list, the things that are in that list are using the same grammatical structure. We might also see parallel structure in our body paragraphs if you're listing causes or effects or solutions or reasons. In your conclusion, you probably will see it when you restate your thesis statement, or maybe you give some final recommendations. Anytime that you're going to use a list, you're going to need to use parallel structure. So let's return to those first 2 sentences that I gave you at the beginning of this presentation. So here's my list. Plagiarism doesn't help you learn. That's number 1. Okay. Is dishonest. 2. And 3, a problem. So here we see verb phrase. Here's another verb phrase. and then we have a noun. That's not parallel. That's the problem. Let's look at the other one. So I pointed out to you again, our first item is copying words from the internet. Okay. Our second item, submit your friend's paper. And finally, don't use sources. So again, these are not parallel. Look at the forms that we have. We have a gerund, we have a verb, and we have another base verb. So now we're going to talk about how to fix these. So here's an example with parallel structure, one that's incorrect and one that's correct. And this one focuses on a list of words. So when we're going to have word, word, and word. Okay? So not a good example. Students who commit academic dishonesty must appear at a hearing that includes their professor, 1, another faculty member, 2, and the committee asks another student to be at the hearing. Ooh, that's a lot going on there. That's 3. So we have, here we see noun, noun, and then we have a clause. This one it's too long. Okay, we need to make it shorter. And this one's pretty easy to make it shorter. We can just say, and another student. And that fixes it. Then we have noun. Oh, sorry. Then we have noun, noun, and noun. Okay? Parallel. Let's try it now with some phrases. Okay? So we have, to avoid plagiarism, keep track of your sources, paraphrasing with your own words, and including citations. So again, we do not have parallelism here. Let's find the list. So is this part of the list? It is not. Here's our connecting word, right? That's where we're going to look for our list. We have 1, 2, and 3. So now let's look at what structure each is using. Okay, which one is different? First one. So depending on how we want to go with this, we can change this to keeping. I chose to go a different route, and I did this. To avoid plagiarism, actually you can't use keeping. That wouldn't make any sense. Because this is like, this is imperative. It's a command. It's giving you advice. So we do need to use keep. Sorry about that. So to avoid plagiarism, keep track of your sources, paraphrase with your own words, and include citations. So now all of those verbs are in imperative form. Okay. Ready? All right, so now we're going to look at clauses. The first one is not correct. The second one is. So the first one, if professors made more interesting writing assignments, students had more flexible due dates, and were more forgiving of instances of plagiarism, students would succeed more. So you can kind of see what the student is trying to say. How can we make it more parallel? Well, one thing that is unclear is who's being forgiving? The students? The professors? Someone else? So actually what this person was trying to say was, they wanted universities to be more forgiving. So let's go this route in fixing it. If students, here's our first clause, clause 1, clause 2, and clause 3. Now, remember, a clause has a subject and a verb. Phrases do not, but clauses do. So when we're linking 3 clauses, each one needs to have a subject and verb. So let's just double check and make sure that they do. Yep. I think that should be students. Sorry about that. And subject and verb. Yeah. Oh, here's a question. Is forgiving a verb? No, this is actually an adjective. Just for fun. All right, so now let's get down to it and see how well you understand this. So here are 3 sentences. I want you to think, you can pause the video if you want, and think about which one has correct parallel structure. All right, so you've read them. So which one is it? Use sources that are credible and that have DOI numbers. So let's investigate this one. That are credible, that have. This looks pretty good so far. How about this one? Use sources that are credible and having. So again, remember we're looking for that connecting word. That are credible and having. They don't match. Do we even have a connecting word here? We do not. So this is not parallel. This one is. Okay, let's try another one. All right, what do you think? Which one has correct parallel structure? Let's investigate. Students who plagiarize are usually overwhelmed and people who are panicking. Okay, so here's our connecting word. So what's it connecting? Students who plagiarize. Maybe the whole thing? No, it's not connecting that, right? I think it's trying to connect usually overwhelmed and people who are panicking. So this one definitely has problems. It's really hard to figure out what they were connecting. How about this one? You see our connecting word? And. Okay, so we're connecting panicking and overwhelmed. Not quite. How about this one? Students who plagiarize are usually people who are overwhelmed and who are panicking. I like that one better. It's a little more clear. Okay, so this one is good. All right, so pause the video here and investigate these 4. Figure out where the connecting word is, what's being connected, and then determine if it's parallel or not parallel. You ready? All right. The first one is not parallel. Okay, we see scolded, reprimanded, and then we should take that out and just say expelled. 2. Thoughts? This is parallel. We have easy to find, widely available, necessary to include. These are actually adjectives. These are all adjectives. How about this one? I hope you can see it's a trick. There's no parallel structure here. There's no list. No list. It's not incorrect. It's a correct sentence, but there's just no parallel structure. How about here? This one is not parallel. Let's take a look. So what's being connected here are these last 3 things, including author names, 1, when they were published, 2, and where they were published, 3. So here it's a little difficult to see. We have a noun, then we have a noun clause. We have 2 noun clauses. Now we can make this flow much better by saying including author names. How about publication dates? And then, how about that one? publication years or years of publication. Okay, something like that. But noun clause, and noun clause is not parallel. All right, last one, and you get extra points for this. I'd like you to pause it and then try to edit this yourself. All right, you're back. So how do we edit the first one? Computer software that detects plagiarism is effective, easy to use, and it is free. This one is not so hard. All we have to do is take out it is. It's effective, easy to use, and free. Adjective, adjective, and adjective. The second one. This one we only have two. Well, we still have a connecting word, right? We have and. But we only have two items. That's okay. We still need them to be parallel. You need to be able to paraphrase. Now this one I see frequently in student writing because sometimes you just don't know how to make this negative, this idea. This is how you do it. You need to be able to paraphrase and not forget to include your sources. Another way I think that is a little more elegant, maybe not say not forget and just say remember. Right? I think that's a lot more elegant. All right, so how did you do? Count up your points and take a look at how you did. If you got less than 5, you are still learning, and that is okay. Keep paying attention to sentence structure as you read, especially when you're reading sentences that have lists. The more input that you have coming at you, the more you're thinking about and becoming aware with what sounds right in English. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. It's time for me to return to my coffee.